Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and Happy New Year's to everybody. I hope you all have had a great holiday season, but today we're going to talk about Death Knight and why its rune system, at least by indication by Blizzard, I think is destined to fail, as we have really, in my opinion, disappointing news about how Death Knight is going to be released, at least new content throughout the year, as well as some other insights into the class that aren't so negative. And a reminder, voting for the Zeddies is still open right now. I'm aiming for January 3rd as a release. We have 4 guests lined up to appear, so it's taking a little bit longer, but we'll announce all the winners and have our guests all there. It should be great. And the giveaway for $200 of Hearthstone packs out of my pocket will be announced then as well. To enter that, all you have to do is like and comment in the video and description below, subscribe to the channel, and you have a chance to win. So looking at Death Knight right now, if you're not aware, it's the new class in Hearthstone. And unlike any other class, there's a rune system in the game. You can put a frost rune in your deck, you can put a blood rune into your deck, you can put an unholy rune into your deck, but you limit yourself based on these amounts. If you have triple unholy, you can't put any blood, any frost into your deck. It's a really cool mechanic in practice, but it's got me thinking about every expansion. Typically, you only get 10 new class cards. How are they going to effectively support 3 little mini classes throughout the year? And in a recent interview, we kind of found out why, and I think it's kind of destined to fail in regards to the Death Knight class, and I'm really bummed out as somebody who really loves Death Knight. Shaq News recently did an interview with several Hearthstone devs. I will link it below. There's a lot of cool insight into the Death Knight class, how they came to like the hero power, the charge mechanic being put in there was originally going to be rush. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in there, so definitely give it a go. I don't want to put a sour on this interview by just talking about my biggest concern, but I think the biggest concern is very valid, as we've talked a lot about it. I've seen a lot of discussion about it with the rune system, and Immick, who basically made this article pretty well known, at least on Twitter, put a summary of like the key points, the interesting parts of this interview, and I wanted to go through that, which includes the rune system. So starting off, we have runes should assure that each Death Knight deck has some weaknesses. Without them, they'd be so much better than all the other classes in terms of weaknesses and strength. Similar to when Demon Hunter launched, it could just do everything. If the runes didn't exist, Death Knight would be able to do everything. So that's a very good point, and definitely a plus for the system. They also said originally there was a deck with 5 runes, but it got changed to 3. So maybe you could have like 3 unholy and 2 blood is my assumption, that they didn't have 5 different types. But yeah, they limited a bit more to, I guess, rein in the power level. Again, as I mentioned, the hero power originally had rush instead of charge, but because Death Knight has no OP single target minion buffs, they decided to make it charge instead of rush. And so far, yeah, it hasn't felt like a big deal at all. The biggest thing you can kind of buff it is in like unholy with your grave strength, giving it +3 attack. So it's like a 4 attack charger. And I think that's reasonable for 6 mana. Compare that to Leroy, it's kind of bad. So yeah, overall, I've actually been a big fan of the hero power so far, but this is where things get really bad in my opinion. And I'm really worried about how they're going to make this work. So like I mentioned, every expansion, typically 10 Death Knight cards or 10 class cards, and that is going to stay true. There will only be 10 Death Knight cards per expansion. I'm worried about it. Each expansion will mainly focus only on one rune, making a new deck type or something new, but at the end of each year, all the runes should have something new and fun to play with. So if you're really into Blood Death Knight, you like that archetype, you might have to wait 2 more expansions or 3 expansions to get the support you want. Like, they're going to only really be supporting 1 rune at a time for what this sounds like. This means that if you won't like what the rune you want to play gets, you'll need to wait at least 1 year before it gets something completely new and unique. Also, if you get something in the first expansion of the year for your favorite rune, you'll almost get nothing for the rest of the year. If you look at March of Lich King, we can see that Blood Rune got 6 cards, Unholy got 3, and Frost only got 1. We can expect something similar for all the sets going forward, but with the exception of switching the main rune that is going to be supported in the expansion. So they'll get a little bit of something each rune every set, but the focus will be on one of them. And like, if you're someone who's not into Unholy, right? Like, Unholy for some people is the most boring, right? It's the most board-based or most traditional style. I don't know. Whatever. Just say Unholy is not your jam. And next set is all Unholy. It's like this class didn't get any support for you. This is kind of the risk of making Deathlight basically 3 mini classes. And I was really interested to know how this is going to go going forward. And for me, I feel like, what if like the Unholy edition's with? Then you have nothing else to do with the class until the next expansion, right? Like, they really have to hit a home run with these additions. And I feel like this would be less of a problem if like mixing of the runes was more effective. But if you look at HS Replay, at least right now, the top meta, the only Deathlight decks that even show up is Triple Frost, so you can't run any other runes. It has to be only Frost. And then you're looking at Blood Deathlight all the way down here, not doing so hot. But regardless, you can see that the mixed rune decks don't really work. You basically have to go all in so far on these triple amounts. So if this is going to be true, where they only support the one style per expansion, you're going to be limited, very limited with this class, more so than other classes that have multiple archetypes every single expansion and building on, you know, basic stuff that's already existing. So for me, I feel like the rune system with this style, with only 10 cards and focusing solely on one rune, for me, it feels destined to fail. I feel like this isn't going to work. But again, this is just like my pessimism. This is me worrying about it without actually knowing how it'll be executed. We've never seen this before. So I'm saying I think this won't work very well. I'm really worried about it, but God knows I've been wrong enough, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. There were also a couple of more key points to go over that Imic highlighted here. And again, I kind of agree they're the more important parts. I have gone through the article, but they talked about the mini set. And if you watched my video yesterday about, you know, my wish list, I was hoping for a colossal minion or a location. And basically they talked about Deathlight catching up with the rest of the classes in terms of fun cards they have, like for example, colossal minions or hero cards. And Cora herself said that they denied we'll get a new hero card in the set, which again, wouldn't even make sense. Mini sets only share or reuse mechanics used throughout the year. Hero cards were Alterac Valley. That was last year. I expect to go into the next standard rotation with 0 hero cards outside of maybe Jirax's remaining core set. That's all I can see, and likely we'll probably see new hero cards late in the year. They typically like to add them in the last expansion of the year, like we saw with Galakron's Awakening with the Galakrons, Alterac Valley with the new hero cards. That way they have the least amount of time in the game, so they don't, you know, overstay their welcome, which they typically do. God knows people hate Guff enough, and he's already been nerfed. But they did say here, Cora denied we'll get a hero card, but did not directly deny anything about Colossals. So fingers crossed we get a Deathlight Colossal. Also would love to see a location. Didn't see that explicitly stated anywhere. So yeah, that's kind of the takeaway from this interview. Big concern about runes, why I'm worried about them. We'll have to see how it plays out. Again, I could be totally wrong. Maybe it'll work out, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. It just makes me a little bit more bummed. Personally, like, I love the blood. I love Blood Deathlight, but it's not good enough right now. What if they just focus on Holy next time? Do I literally have to wait until the summer expansion to maybe finally get Blood Deathlight to be good enough? So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.